What up? I'm Shep Papelka, and this is the Braves TomaBlog. I'm recording live now from outside my new apartment in West Atlanta. I think it's been about 3 weeks since I've gotten my last podcast out. Moved places, new job, and everything like that. We're still working on getting internet. I'm now in West Atlanta. So 2 years ago I lived in Brookhaven, then last year East Atlanta, now West Atlanta. So the logical step for next year is Northwest Atlanta, but I hate it there. So ideally, I'll stop at 3 corners of Atlanta. So the question I wanted to mull on today, as I actively count chickens, is whether the Braves are legitimate World Series contenders. I say counting chickens because as I record this, the Braves are on a 4-game losing streak and currently playing their 3rd game against the Cardinals right now. But I don't have TV or internet, so I'm looking at the Gamecast right now. It's 0-0 in the second. Not the point. We've got a 5.5 game lead right now. So yes, I'm counting chickens with the assumption that it works out and that they make the postseason. Should that happen? First of all, should that not happen, you can blame me. Go ahead. This is me doing that thing. This is me counting chickens right now and starting to, think about the postseason even though we're not in it yet. I know, I'm in trouble. Should we finish it out and we make the postseason, are we a legitimate World Series contender? I think it's a fun question that we get to ask now. We've been waiting for, 4 years to finally get to ask the question again, and now we get to do so because we are presumably going to make the playoffs. And such a question, I think for one to ask, are we World Series contenders, that question's already been answered. That's what the regular season is for. So you make the postseason, everyone in the postseason is a World Series contender. And so I was thinking about this question a few months ago, could they do anything in the playoffs? Should they get there? And, I'm a Braves fan, I've watched the team, I know that they have holes. The thing is, everyone has holes. By the time you get to the postseason, everyone has holes in their team. So I thought about it and I was like, no, the Braves probably won't make the World Series. It would just be cool if they got to the postseason. But if you were to ask me, are the Oakland A's, could they get hot and win the World Series? Yeah, of course they could. Everyone that's in the postseason is a contender. That's what we do. We play 162 to determine who the contenders are. We take 10, which is the top third, and they get to go at it. And the thing about baseball is that anyone can win. The team that wins the most games in the regular season, it's not like they're any more likely to finish it out than anyone else that gets there. So, could the Braves win the World Series? Of course. Are they favorites? No. I think that they're unlikely, and it's because of the holes and obviously the inexperience. Now, the inexperience could turn out to be a great thing. That's the beautiful thing about the postseason, is that it's rarely as though the stars are the ones that we're talking about. Sometimes it is, but it's often the guy that it gets added at the end of it. So for the Braves, it'd be a guy like Adam Duvall or Charlie Culberson, Johan Camargo. No one else has heard of outside of the Braves organization. Those are the guys that you typically see doing really well in the postseason. Remember, Daniel Murphy goes off in the postseason. Kyle Schwarber went off in the postseason. Lots of different. I'm literally Connor Giuseppe had a really good postseason. The Giants always have some random guy go off in the postseason, so that's what you're looking for. That's what would give the Braves the best shot at it. The holes, to me, are not even necessarily roster-based. As I'm looking at the roster, it's the one thing that you don't have is someone that you can match up against Kershaw or Hamels or Lester and be like, oh, we can match them punch for punch. That said, it's not as though there's any dominant pitching in the postseason this year. Hamels has been the best ever since he's been with the Cubs. Lester's kind of hurt, and Hendricks has been good, but you're not sitting there going oh no, we're facing Kyle Hendricks. Same thing with the Dodgers. I mean, look, the Dodgers have had our number in the past, and so it sucks to face Kershaw in the postseason. But Kershaw has his flaws, and we've seen it before. Alex Wood might get you, though. You never know about that one. With the Rockies, I mean, they have some hot pitchers, but it's not as though throwing up Fulton Evich Sanchez or Gossman or Tehran against them that you'd feel terrible about that. Could they lose? Of course. That's the thing, is that you're looking at the Braves starting pitching. It's an even matchup either way. As far as the Braves lineup, when it gets going, it's going. And so if it gets going for 11 games and it gets 11 wins in the postseason just because the offense goes off, we've seen it happen before. We've seen the Braves win like 11 of 15 before. That could happen. Is it likely to happen? My tendency is to say no. Based on the way that they're playing it, it's not roster based. It's just the way that they've been going is winning streak, losing streak, winning streak, losing streak for about a month now. Take that into the postseason, it's problematic just simply because... And the thing about the winning streak, losing streak tendency is that we've been winning more than we've been losing. But if you take the winning streak, losing streak tendency into the postseason, and you lose 4 in a row, which has been something that you've seemingly gotten used to doing, you're in trouble. Upon that, huge struggles at home lately. We have not been good at home, which is reminiscent of 2017 to me, where we really struggled at SunTrust Park. We have not had a home field advantage from the first 2 years of SunTrust Park, and I think it's possible that could be on display in the postseason. If the Braves can go 500 at home and win on the road, then once again they have a chance at that. Upon that, what will sort of be on display once again, Braves fans remember the postseason a few years ago, is that it's the hole in your bullpen that will bring you trouble. Our bullpen's rounding out pretty well right now. Is it without holes? I can't say that it is. We don't have a bullpen ace. We haven't since Kimbrel left. And so I would assume we keep going with Minter because he's had that down. That said, I would not be shocked if we start closing with Johnny Venters at times. Postseason games, you got to go and get your win. And if I'm Brian Snitker and I've got a 1-run lead in the 8th, like let's say Fulton-Evich goes 8 innings and it's 1-0, and he comes out. Who am I going to put in? Am I going to put in Minter or Johnny? If I were Snitker, I'd go with Venters in that situation. But I don't expect that. If Julio Tehran goes 5 innings and we've got to cover 4 more, we're probably going to use Johnny sooner than that. We're especially going to use, Brock and, Freeman. He's going to put Freeman on the roster, I think. We have so many lefties in the bullpen. So that'll all be very interesting. In terms of, what to expect from this postseason, for one, everyone's got to get there first, so I don't know what the teams are going to look like when they get there. The one thing that I will say that is giving me comfort to see is that it is not as though certain teams have other teams' numbers this year, although we did have, the Pirates' number and the Mets' number this year. That's not what I mean. I'm just talking about, we swept the Cardinals earlier, now they're beating us real bad. The Rockies have beaten us real bad. The Dodgers have beaten us pretty bad. The Cubs we've gone back and forth with. There's no one in there that I go they've got us. They're better than us. And I've seen it. The matchups are fairly even, and there's no clear front runner in the NL. There is a best team in my opinion. There's a best roster, and that's the Cubs. The hottest team right now appears to be the Brewers. But the thing about that is that we're still. I think we're a week and a half or 2 weeks out of the postseason. In 2 weeks, the hottest team typically changes. And so, right now, though, who are the hottest teams? I would say the 2 wildcard teams. It's the Cardinals and the Brewers. What would be nice is if they took care of each other. So yeah, I mean, that's where we're at, is that, should we make the postseason? For one, I'll be super excited. I'll try to do a reaction to every game in podcast form. It's tougher, because hopefully we'll have cable by that point. But in terms of what to expect, just be excited that we're there. Oh my goodness, we get to have the postseason again. I just, I don't know. I would have never thought that it would have been this year. This year's been outstanding, and don't let, a moment, should we clinch, soak that moment in, because, that's a moment of joy that you weren't supposed to get. So thank you guys for listening. I really hope you enjoyed. This is the Braves TomaBlog YouTube channel where I talk about the Braves and baseball in general. If it sounds like something you're interested in, check it out. See if it's for you. Hope you enjoyed, and go Braves.